Hey everybody, it's Dusti Martin with Platinum Living Realty dropping in to give you your updated numbers for the month of April 2020. It is May 8th and I am looking forward to sharing with you what is going on in Cave Creek and Carefree. So let's just get right back into it. All right, our active listings are down 21.7%. This is adding to the continued lack of supply in our marketplace, which is making it still kind of tough for some buyers to find what they're looking for. Our sold listings, however, are down 33.1% over last year. So currently we have 264 listings as of this recording, and our sold listings are at about 79. So it's still pretty fast paced. They're just reduced, obviously, because we've been in lockdown now for about 6 weeks with all of the COVID stuff. However, our median sale price per square foot is up over 13.5% over last year. Our median price per square foot right now is just over $231 per square foot. So keep that in mind. Many people are asking, how can that be? It's really simple. It's just the law of supply and demand. There is still not enough homes for the amount of buyers that are still on the market. So when it comes down to that, it's going to gradually push prices in an upward direction. Our months of supply, this is where things are different than they have been in the last few months. Our months of supply is up 17% over last year. That's not a trend we have seen in several months or even a year or two, but our month supply is currently at 3.34 months of supply for Cave Creek and Carefree. That is just inside the 4-month mark for a seller's market. And with that considered, you can expect things to be more in the seller's favor. However, it's closer to that middle range where things are more even. So you might find some sellers who are a little more willing to play ball depending on their price point. And we'll get to that in a second. However, all things considered, our median days on market is down over 26% over last year. We're sitting right at 39 days. And right now, with the liquidity crisis going on in the mortgage industry, our transactions right now are taking about 45 days. So when you think about it, the days on market is actually less than the amount of a transaction if it were financed. So those who have cash on hand, who are able to make those purchases and who are already pre-qualified, already had their things in a row. And for those homes that qualify to have their appraisals waived, which is what's taking the longest part of all of that, for those homes, those are going super, super fast. So you need to keep on top of that. But also keep in mind, if your home's not selling in that amount of time, depending on the price point, that's the caveat, you might need to consider a price adjustment, because in this hot of a market, if your home's not selling quickly, it's usually because there's something wrong with the home or it's overpriced. All right, so let's get right back into the flip side of this, is where we break down the months of supply by price point. This is where numbers get super specific. And if you're a homeowner or a home buyer, these are the numbers you really need to know for the category that your home is in, or for the category you're trying to buy in, because this is what really dictates what's happening on the ground. All right, so like I said, overall, our month supply for Cave Creek Carefree is at 3.34, so not quite 4 months, just inside the seller's market range. Anything under $100,000, we have no data for. There's nothing on the market in that price range, and therefore no buyers in that price range. We get to the $100,000 to $200,000 price range, and we are at a 2-month supply. That is a pretty strong seller's market. So if you're buying in that price range, try not to play any games. You might get a little lucky, as some of my clients have lately, with a seller who's maybe a little more fear-based or a little less educated, depending on the agent that's on the other side. And sometimes even the agents try their best to educate them and they are still kind of fear-based, but that's not the norm right now. So keep that in mind, depending on the area and the price point that you're looking at. So it is still very much a very strong seller's market in the $100,000 to $200,000 range. In the $200,000 to $300,000 range, for all of Cave Creek and Carefree, there are only 8 properties in the entire 2 towns that fit in that category, and there are no buyers. So we have no inventory, no calculations for that, simply because we haven't had a sale, so we can't gauge it. This is the hot spot for Cave Creek and Carefree. It's the $300,000 to $500,000 price range. That is sitting at a 1.69 month supply. That is white hot. That's like 6 weeks of inventory. In 6 weeks, if nothing new came on the market, we'd be gone, we'd be sold out. The $500,000 to $700,000 price range is still hanging on strong in a seller's market at 3.52 months of supply. And this is the thing that I was really happy to see this month. Overall, not for any one specific zip code or neighborhood, but the $700,000 to $1 million mark for Cave Creek and Carefree is at 2.5 months. So it's still a pretty strong seller's market. We haven't lost too much ground there for homeowners. And like I said, the prices have still trended up. So even if it might take a little longer and you might have to adjust your price, you're not likely to see a reduction overall as a trend through the whole city in the prices going downward. They're probably still going to go upward, but they may not sell for 100% of asking price. But definitely we're in good shape there. And then the $1 to $3 million mark, this is where things are a little rough. Isn't as pretty as it's been in the last few months, but we're at an 11.17 month supply. That is right back into buyer's territory. And I think this has mostly to do with the amount of jumbo loans being available right now. We're having liquidity issues, and jumbo loans for the banks that are still doing them are just not as palatable to some of the buyers because they have a higher interest rate at 5 or 6%. It's not pretty. It's not in the mid 3s or the low 3s where we were right before the liquidity issues happened. And then we also simultaneously had a drop in the stock market where a lot of these buyers keep their cash. So a lot of those guys ended up moving their money around or, let it ride out because you don't want to sell in a downturn. So the only ones out there right now are the ones that absolutely need to sell. So if you're in this price range, listen carefully. If your home's not compelling, it's not selling. It has to be the prettiest home for the prettiest price in order to get it sold in this environment. We're hoping, I was just on a conference call with Steve Harney and Tom Ferry, who do a weekly market update right now, kind of trying to navigate all the COVID stuff and what it's doing to the market and the real estate market. And we are actually hoping, since interest rates for the regular mortgages have come back down to where they were, and they're still crazy low at around 3.2, 3.3, we are thinking that the jumbo loan rates might come back a little faster than expected. So fingers crossed, hopefully that's what we will see there. But that's kind of where it is. But for now, we're in a buyer's market and you need to price your home appropriately. And if you're a buyer in that market, you might have a little more leverage, which is good news for you. In the $3 million range, unfortunately, there are only 7 properties in all of Cave Creek and Carefree that meet that criteria, and no buyers. So we have no data for that. And we didn't have any data for that this time last year. And that's actually kind of normal because it is such a high price point that the number of buyers for that are very, very, very low. So just traditionally speaking. If you guys have any questions, give me a call, 480-717-9405. I'd be happy to walk through whatever the numbers look like in your zip code, or more specifically in your exact neighborhood and what you might hope to get for your home in this market. That is my specialty, is being able to price homes almost on the dot. So like I said, give me a call, 480-717-9405, or visit DustiMartinRealtor.com, and I'd be happy to help you. Hit the like button, share this with a friend you think would be helpful, and I'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.